All right, welcome everyone to today's event. And I'm going to share my screen now. If you can see my screen, you let me know. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Whilst preparing for this particular session, I was inspired by the Paris Olympics, and I wanted to bring some Olympics flavor to this particular session. Strategy is a topic that could be considered as a bit complex, requires a lot of thinking, and of course, yes, it does. And I want to make it lighthearted. But one thing I've learned from Olympics and Olympians, those who've attended an Olympic event and been part of, is they have a grand strategy towards preparing and being able to win multiple races to get to the Olympics. So to be able to uh, be an organization that would be around, I was talking about Olympians and how they prepare for the Olympics. And that's one of the inspirations towards my slides. The second is an Olympian who's done massively well by coming in so leisurely and casually. And this is when your strategy is working so well. You could come in, not wear the headphones, the sound protectors, and then casually just put your hands in your pocket and shoot your pistol. Having been having seen guns being shot, it's not as easy as this Turkish man did it, but he did it with such poise, and it shows that when you've planned, prepared with a very clear strategy, you could come in and still have your A game and deliver to win. He didn't win this gold medal. It would have been so interesting if he had won the gold medal. Rather, he won the silver medal. And it shows that he's been preparing so many years and he's now very viral on so many sites, talking about how casually he walked in and hit his targets and still went so far. Can you see the slides or you can see my slides? Can you see now?
Yes.
You can see the slides, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's focus on the topic and the areas we are going to look at on the impact of strategy on transformations, the areas of ambiguity in product delivery, serve as a framework to reduce such ambiguity, and some tools and techniques for clarity. And we'll touch on the product owner's roles before having a takeaway. This is how the agenda is structured for today. And as I've been talking about strategy, all organizations would have a strategic purpose which would influence their strategy. And this could be created when you have a new CEO or when the current strategy has become obsolete and the organization wants to continue being very important in the market or want to stay competitive in the market, the organization would go back and look at its strategic purpose, looking at its vision, mission, its objectives, and working through its strategy and then its tactics. When organizations spend time working through this, it enables them to prepare for the long term, the medium term, and the short term. But all of this must link to their organizational vision. What is our vision for the next few years? What mission statement would describe our culture? What objectives would be key to the delivery of our strategy? And it will be communicated across all the teams. Then you would have a big strategy document that, if not well communicated, gets hidden under so many folders. And when you go around the organization asking people, do you know what the strategy of our organization is? It's only a few people who are able to say, yes, I really know the strategy of the organization, and I know where we are and where we are going. More than often, most people will say, I think it's on the website or it's on the intranet. If it's not well communicated, it becomes an ambiguous environment where everyone will say, so where are we going? What's leading us there? Even though we have the vision and the mission, what is stated in our strategy? Our strategy will be delivered by our tactics, and our tactics would impact our operational environment, and it will also impact our new products and solutions that we intend to build for our customers. And our customers could be in various forms. It could be B2B, business to business, or business to direct customers, or business to suppliers, whom then the suppliers will then sell to customers. But we want to be clear with our strategic purpose. If it's not clear, that alone leads to its number one ambiguity within the organization. And sometimes I go around asking a few people whom I've been teaching, do you know your values? I've not added the values. I would have said is VV most. The values are very important in influencing the mission and the vision because they help create that clear culture that we need across the organization. And if you are in a company now, I would recommend you go looking for the VVMOs, the vision, the values, the mission, the objectives, and the strategy and the tactics. It will first eliminate all the ambiguities in your mind saying, we don't really know where we are going, but it's you who hasn't gone looking for it. So our strategy will be influenced heavily by our long term strategy, our medium term, and our short term strategy. Yeah. Our long term strategy, our medium term, and our short term strategy. And some organizations will say, oh, this is our 625, our 6 months, 2 years, and a 5 year strategy. And whilst the strategy has been laid out, it does not mean organizations won't be pivoting or won't be agile about it. If the market changes, if a strategy tactics becomes obsolete, organizations in this current era are, are pivoting so they remain relevant. I think one strategic area that organizations have looked at very recently, and most organizations are digging their head, toes, feet, and everything in, is in artificial intelligence because the companies that have taken steps to adopt artificial intelligence are reaping massive benefits. If you wait and you become a digital laggard, you would have lost your market share and probably gone bust when most of the other companies become leaders in the area of AI. So our long-term strategy could be changed by such a massive market or external change or technological change. And it will require that organizations pivot to harness the change in the market. So, what are some of the elements of ambiguity? Yeah. And why do we want to talk about ambiguity? Ambiguity is the uncertainty or lack of clarity surrounding various aspects of product development within the organization. And this could lead to uncertainty, lack of clear information on what products are being built by the organization. And this is when our strategic documents or our the strategy is not being clearly communicated. If the strategy document is available, but rather very complex, then most people would not be able to embed it and make sure that it reflects their day to day activity. If organizations as well find themselves in a very complex environment, then they need to be on top of their strategy, communicating it and ensuring that each team member is aware of what's happening. Quite recently, we all saw what happened with CloudStrike. And it means our technology environment has got that element of complexity that organizations cannot sit and wait for such a big event to start drawing their business continuity plans. Due to the current market changes, technological changes, the impact by um, cybersecurity, Organizations need to be upfront and well ahead of how they want to react to such massive impacts and put in place the right plans. And it's as a result of our current complex and dynamic market. There's so much changing conditions happening around the world. Um, Either prime ministers are changing, or there are wars that we need to be monitoring, or there are local routes that has to be monitored. And if you find yourself in such changing conditions, your requirements will keep evolving, and it's the product owner who has to keep on top of it, acting like a mini CEO, connecting with the execs and feeding that back to the team. This is one thing you want to minimize: subjectivity, different interpretations or perspectives. And this is just as a result of strategy not being communicated properly. Drawing the strategic document, having your VV most, and putting all the document in place is not enough. Communication, communication, communication is key to enabling the strategy to be um, known and understood by all the key members within the organization. And what does that lead to? So, if there's elements of ambiguities, we'll be finding ambiguity which will be impacting the market direction and trends of the products we build. There'll be also that element of a competitive landscape. There'll be threat of new entrants, threat of substitute products, and competition would enable the organization to innovate and improve. But we are also aware that if there's massive competition, it enables the organization to go back to its strategy and then say, where are we? Where do we want to be? Where do we want to compete? And how do we want to compete? And what measures do we want to put in place so that when there's so many changes in the competitive landscape, we are still remaining relevant within that particular area. And in terms of product builds as well, when there's so much market changes, we need that strategic alignment with organizational goals. And product managers need to be able to do that. If you're a product owner or a product manager and you are unaware or you've not been communicated clearly with the strategic objectives so that you can relay it to the various teams, you'll find yourself wanting and you would not be able to support the teams with their various questions. And as well, the next element is where we invest. Organizations do sometimes um, find themselves in a pickle where they have a clear strategy but do not invest their resources. Rather, they spread their resources across multiple initiatives and they are unable to get the value that's needed. So, what is important is if you know this is going to be your strategy and this is what's going to lead your organization to be much more ahead of the market, then your resource allocation should be heavily focused in those particular areas to reduce the ambiguity that teams will be experiencing where they are asking themselves, if this project is of high priority, why don't we have team members? Why is there a lot of risk? Why is there a lot of issues? It's just because we've not resourced it properly. So leaders have to be very careful about where they invest their resources when it comes to um, implementing their strategies. These key areas are also important: regulators, technology, the long term product vision, and our customer behavior. All of this have a link. The regulator could be looking at how we as an organization are implementing the various policies. And most currently, we've seen a lot of policies impacting technology, and organizations have to be able to put in place the right measures to manage all these changes that are happening in the market. So, as an organization, we need to be able to say, okay, if there's a change in policy, around technology. What are we going to do to make sure that these changes have been observed by the team and have been implemented in our product build before we take the product to market? And our products could also have long-term and visions. So if you look at a product like the iPhone continues to evolve, and Apple as an organization wants to remain in the market. So they constantly are evolving the versions and making their customers stick with their product so that they don't go elsewhere. And similar as well, if you come to a company like us, we are looking at our product visions and the various areas we want to compete as an organization. And then we are reflecting on what is our product vision, what is our long term vision, and our long term visions impact our product visions. Whilst we could stick to our long term product vision, what we are constantly aware of is our customers. Customer is king. If your customers shift, if your customers are wanting new experiences, we need to be able to provide those experiences for our customers. And when we provide those experiences for the customers, it enables the customers to benefit from the products we deliver. So, what, and I've talked about all these ambiguities. How do organizations deal with this, and how can they deal with it better? Is there a framework that large organizations can use? Yes, I've been working with large organizations who've been looking at, okay, there's so much changes in the market. How can we as an organization continuously communicate our strategy, ensure that everyone within the organization is aware of what the strategy is, and can build the products that are needed? Safe with its principles and structure is enabling organizations to communicate their strategy over the long term, medium term, and the short term. This is leading to a lot of benefits implementing the SAFE framework. So, when we take a look at the Scaled Agile framework, it starts off with our strategic themes. And our strategic themes are linked to the enterprise where the executives would be making decisions. And as the executives make decisions, they will also be impacted by the market. So, business agility is being able to respond to changes in the market using your operational and your development value streams. This is then communicated into our portfolios. The portfolios then ensure that as an organization, we are clear with which projects and initiatives we want to implement. The projects and initiatives are then roadmapped into our portfolio backlog as epics, projects, and large initiatives. All of this are then over time assigned to various agile release trains. And the agile release trains could be from 50 to 125, dependent on how large organizations want to manage their various agile release trains. They need to be able to understand their operational and development value streams for them to be able to then break them down into acts. So agile release trains form the main vehicle for delivering all the initiatives, products, and tactics that the organization has identified. Whilst the act focuses on delivery, once it's delivered its product or solution, it sends it back to the operational value stream, and the operational value stream will then serve our customers, either internal or external customers. There are some key areas within the SAFE framework that would enable us reduce the ambiguity that we would experience. First, implementing the SAFE framework requires the SAFE implementation roadmap. The SAFE implementation roadmap guides organizations through the various steps and helps reduce ambiguity across the change being implemented within the organization. So there are steps that have been recommended that large organizations, small or medium sized organizations who want to adapt the SAFE framework can go through to implement the SAFE framework. When we are implementing the framework, we are guided by a set of roadmaps. We have the solution roadmap and the planning interval roadmap. These two roadmaps serve as our key communication tool to product teams. So whilst we've got a strategy document to communicate to operational value streams, if we've got development value streams, we use the solution roadmap and our PI roadmap to communicate our product deliveries. So with this communicated across various teams, it immediately reduces the ambiguity that organizations will be experiencing, because organizations are now clearly aware of the roadmaps. Some people like the roadmaps, some don't. But personally, I found the roadmap as a good tool that is communicated across teams, and teams are able to understand and appreciate what is happening across the organization and why our strategy is being influenced by certain key objectives. What safe organizations do very well is using the big room planning called the planning interval session. And this is a big session where our key senior stakeholders, executives, would attend and continuously share updates on the strategy with the team. If this is done, it gives the exec an opportunity to say, look, guys, this is where we are, this is where we are going, and these are the key things you need to be aware of. So the PI planning is an important tool that enables organizations to be aware of where the strategy is heading to. If we implement that, it gives us as teams as well the opportunity to meet execs and say, so what is happening and how do the changes impact us? If execs come to the program increment planning, they can easily communicate any changes, and it's face to face or online, and we get these execs coming in regularly, quarterly, to update us. If this is done, what about the product owner? What are some of the strategies the product owner can use? The product owner would continuously be scanning through the market and carrying out competitive analysis using Porter's five forces to enable us be aware of what is happening and how that impacts our strategy. There needs to be strategic alignment workshops organized by the executives for the team so that people are aware of what's happening, the changes, and how our um, organization is shifting and pivoting to remain relevant. A good document that can be used by execs as well is the balance scorecard. And if you want to know about the balance scorecard, it's in our late videos. We've talked extensively about the balance scorecard. Regulatory monitoring is important for our product owners to be well aware of what regulators are thinking about and what changes they are implementing. And as a product owner, you can't afford, or as a product manager, you can't afford not to monitor the regulator and the changes that potentially could come your way. And if you are in the UK with a change in government, there's a big need to start looking at what regulatory changes are going to be put in place. The PI planning enables us to implement that flexible resource planning. We want to be able to say, okay, at the end of every iteration or sprint, at the end of every program interval, do we need to pivot? Do we need to make changes? We can move resources around to areas that are of high strategic need so that we can implement the changes that we need to see. The enterprise architects and the solutions architects will help us with our technology roadmap and the architectural documents, either through the business architecture, the technology architecture, the data architecture, would help also with reducing uncertainty and ambiguity. Finally, these two elements, customer feedback is key. With customer feedback, we are able to go back to our strategy and say, we need to put in place these changes. It will impact our vision, it will impact our strategy document. And because we are being iterative about our strategy, we will welcome the feedback and it will enable us deliver to our customers' expectations. Yeah. Risk management is important. If you can't identify any potential risk. It will come when you least expect it, and you wouldn't have put in place the right mitigative strategy. So risk management is an important element for product managers to implement so that we can reduce uncertainty. In the very short 30 minutes, Albert's technology failure, what have we looked at? We've looked at ambiguity, we've looked at a safe framework, we've touched on communication and a few tools that can enable us to reduce ambiguity across the organization. And as a product owner, you can use all the key tools we've just discussed here to enable you foster collaboration, alignment across all the teams. If we stay agile and adaptable to change, we are able to reduce ambiguity. And lastly, our focus should be on continuous improvement and learning, where customer feedback is what would enable us implement the right changes. Folks, have a wonderful evening. Ciao.